In this video, we're going to make a Thomas the Tank Engine cake using our paper template technique. Our cake for this video is a 10-inch square cake. After you've made your sponge and iced your cake, roll out some pre-coloured grey icing big enough to lay over 2/3 of the cake. Using a rolling pin as shown, lift the fondant and roll away from you over the cake and leave approximately 1/3 of the butter iced cake visible. Trim the edges to get a straight edge with a fondant knife and smooth with a plastic fondant smoother. Roll out some light green icing and roll over the remaining 1/3 of the cake that is uncovered. Trim the excess fondant and join along the seam where the green meets the blue fondant and take care to smooth the seal to join the pieces of fondant together. You'll now need a pre-prepared Thomas the Tank Engine paper template. We traced ours from an image on the computer screen. Cut out Thomas's face from the centre of the paper template, taking care to retain the shape. Roll out a piece of grey fondant and place the Thomas face template onto the fondant and cut around the paper circle. You can use this paper template in a similar way to create all future parts of the Thomas the Tank Engine fondant pieces as shown. Roll out a piece of red fondant for the bottom bumper section of the Thomas the Tank Engine train and use the paper template to cut the bumper to size. At this point, you can begin to assemble the Thomas model on your work surface. We now need to create the black sections around Thomas's face. Again, we'll use our template for this as shown in the video by using our grey fondant face to ensure everything is aligned properly. Here we are freehand cutting this section. We'll have a puff of white smoke spilling out from it and we'll write a message on it later. You'll now need to transfer your Thomas the Tank Engine fondant pieces to the cake and stick them using paintbrush and water. You'll see here that we've shifted the Thomas the Tank Engine fondant pieces down the cake a little to leave us plenty of room for our puff of smoke at the top of the cake. Using an additional paper template, you can create our trees. As you can see, these apple trees are made with a darker shade of green than before. For the apples, we've used the end of a straw to cut little red fondant circles. As we begin to fix these to the cake, the trees are going to curl around the right and left edges of the cake. We then add our tree trunks that we've made using brown fondant. Here we decided to add some cheeks and a nose to Thomas's face by lifting the face from the cake and adding little balls of fondant. Colour doesn't matter as it won't be seen. We position them and gently press them into little mouths. You can then place the Thomas the Tank Engine face over the top and press lightly around the little balls of fondant to create our effect. You can then roll and add a grey piece of fondant for the railway track and have it coming down over the front of the cake and positioned underneath the red bottom edge of the Thomas the Tank Engine train, as you'll see here. Now we still need to finish our trees. We place our red apples and fix them as before using a paintbrush and a little water. We can now move on to adding our final few pieces to Thomas. Using a little yellow fondant, create a ball in your hands and flatten out into a circle of fondant and place as shown. Repeat on the other side of the top of Thomas. You can then add a few little 3D effects to the cake with some additional grey fondant pieces to create stops, hooks and two circles of black fondant, slightly smaller than our yellow circles of fondant, and we position those on the cake as shown. You'll also want to create some wheels, which we create with a little black fondant. Thomas needs some eyes now, so for this you're going to need circles of white fondant, small black circles of fondant, and then little tiny white balls of white fondant pressed into the black to create our pupils. Thomas also needs a mouth, which we'll create with some further white fondant. Here we've cut a little of the grey fondant below and inserted the mouth into it so it's level with the rest of the face. You can also add a tow bar using grey fondant, a flat small red piece of fondant and an even smaller flat piece of black fondant. Bend the grey fondant into a tube and place on the cake, leaving the centre hollow as shown. Place the red fondant circle under the grey fondant where the hollow is and finish with our little black circle at the top of the grey fondant tube where the two ends meet. Roll a piece of white fondant for your cloud and either use a paper template or freehand cut a white cloud out and place this on the cake as shown. You can then either use an icing pen as we are here or fondant letters to add your own custom message to the cake. And this is our finished Thomas the Tank Engine cake. Please do take a few moments to comment below or like the video. Thanks very much for taking time to watch.